And hello, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Learning Office Hours. I'm Drew Boyd, live here from Cincinnati, Ohio. Nice to see you. Got some familiar faces out there. Nishant, great to have you. And got some other folks. Tavia De Lara, welcome. I think I'm saying that right. Tavia from Mexico City. And Dia. Got a nice group of folks from different parts of the world. Welcome. So I'm very excited today about my guest. I'll describe her in a minute, but let me give you a live. I always love doing this from my studio, kind of a live view here in the Drew Boyd Studios of what's going on. And I'm my guest today is my old friend and colleague Marta Dapena Barón. She is the president of Big Picture Partners, and a fellow LinkedIn Learning instructor. I'm really excited to have her talk about her new course. Now, Marta and I have worked together for many years. We've traveled on many trips together, teaching companies about marketing from all corners of the world, from Mumbai, India to Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Michigan, you name it. We get all over the place. It's really nice to have Marta on the stream. So let me bring Marta in. Let's talk a little bit about her course. Hello, Marta. How are
Hello,
you?
Drew. Great to see you.
Good
Good
to see
morning.
you. And we are live, and let me just remind everybody: live has its technology moments where things can get a little crazy here and there, as we know. So forgive us if we run into a little bit of problem here. But so far, so good. We've got a good connection, and it's great to see you. So, Marta, the new course you have is called Marketing Foundations. Really excited about it and want to encourage people to go over and take a look at it. When did this course release?
The course released on December 16th of last year. So just a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay. So it was just before the new year.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Okay, good. And that's going to kick off the year in style. So, marketing foundations. Just give us an overview. What is this course? What are the things that you address and talk about? What are the kind of the key topics that go into this course?
Yeah, so as the title indicates, right, foundations really covers the big blocks that would constitute any kind of marketing curriculum. So think about it, right? Brands, the business category, which of course includes competitors and competitive intelligence gathering, and then it moves on to customers, which of course in this course we call the bodies, because regardless of whether you find yourself marketing to companies or individuals, you need to understand people. So bodies. Then it moves into beliefs. So as you really start thinking about who you're going to be marketing to, the critical difference between a marketing and, say, a salesperson or somebody else in an organization is that we concern ourselves with understanding what drives and motivates people to positive change. I like to think of marketing as the science, the discipline in motivating positive change. So, beliefs, how do you develop a value proposition for your target customers? And then we move into how do we then ultimately motivate a behavioral change, so behaviors, and then we go from there into metrics, which we call benchmarks. So purposefully, we've developed those pillars as 6 B's: brand, business category, bodies, beliefs, behaviors, and benchmarks to also just make it really memorable. But again, the idea is to focus on the kind of the pillars of any marketing curriculum.
Yeah, foundations for sure. So, tell me about the ideal learner for this course. Who should be looking at this here on LinkedIn Learning?
So, absolutely, it can be a refresher for somebody who is already a marketer, but it's really designed to take someone from essentially a very basic or no prior experience with marketing into what I would say is an intermediate level of marketing understanding. We don't go into anything really complex in terms of analysis tools or research tools, but I would say take somebody who is really just coming into marketing to that medium sort of level, intermediate level of
Yeah.
knowledge. And the other thing is, with a lot of our clients, as you know, Drew, the idea is not that marketing functions as a silo, that it's really isolated from the rest of the organization, but we've been really trying to create a language for the entire commercial team
Yeah.
in our client organization. So this course is really actually designed for partners to marketing, whether it's people in sales, most sort of adjacently close to marketing, but then people in finance, HR, etc., other functions who need to understand the go-to-market language, the commercial language, so that there's great communication internally. It's really a shame when we work with client organizations, even
Yeah.
within the marketing team, you may have people using different frameworks or languages, but then as you kind of come out of that team into other teams, there's just a loss of communication efficiency and therefore just overall effectiveness in the commercial organization when people are using different languages. So that's really the purpose of this course, is to create a
Yeah.
common language.
Yeah. So it would be like working in finance, and everybody in finance had completely different terms and complete, or engineering, and they all had different different models that they used. That would be tough. So yeah, I get the common languages. So you're saying people in finance, or what about salespeople? Would they be
Absolutely.
a candidate for this course?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, sales and marketing are two functions that need to collaborate. It's always been a really interesting relationship as a marketer myself, because marketers support the sales function, and yet we don't always have a common language. So it's absolutely designed for the sales team. Yes.
If you're just joining us, this is LinkedIn Live Office Hours, LinkedIn Learning Office Hours. I'm Drew Boyd with my guest Marta Dapena Barón, a fellow LinkedIn Learning instructor with the new course, Marketing Foundations. Feel free to post questions in the comment section. I'm monitoring those and checking out other people that have joined us. Patty Raggio, nice to see you from here in Cincinnati, and Nishant Sharma from Samsung. Great to see you. And he made a comment. Thanks for mentioning sales. Exactly. And Nishan is a key account manager at Samsung. Salespeople are ideal for this course, as you mentioned, Marta, because I think a lot of them want to get into marketing at some point, and we get those questions.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. So sales and marketing they have this really interesting symbiotic relationship where
yeah,
I think a really effective commercial organization is really marketing led. And one of our clients actually uses this phrase, marketing led, sales driven. So
mm,
it is interesting, right? So marketing is supposed to be at the forefront of the sales team, helping guide the collection of insights and helping develop
yeah.
campaigns that then the sales force is constantly testing every day they're out with customers.
So I've got to ask you. I've done numerous courses here on LinkedIn Learning for many years now, and I love it. But in any course, you kind of have your, let's just say, your favorite, that one video or that one, you just kind of feel like you nailed it, and it just rings true to you. What's your favorite part about this course?
Um, to me, it's actually how the components come together. The idea that marketing isn't
Yeah,
a linear process, that it's really a systems based process. And in order to be a really effective, I would say, business person or just thinker, you want to understand the connections between the elements. So it isn't just a single video, but it's how these elements come together, the idea of integration. So, give you an example, right? So, one of the points that I make in the course is that you need to define who is a customer of your organization in really precise operational ways, because you want to know how many customers you have. And you also want to know whether those customers are really new to the organization. That requires a certain type of marketing activity when you get to execution, or they're really loyal. which requires a different type of marketing activity when you get to execution. So this idea that you want to be thinking about the upfront elements in your marketing strategy with a sort of a foreshadowing of the back end, that to me is my favorite element in the course.
And I want to welcome Demon. Demon, nice to see you. Demon was
Yes.
our friend and colleague and client out in Mumbai. Speaking of
Yeah.
Mumbai, Demon, nice to see you join the stream here today. So Marta, the Marketing Foundations course, it's hopefully it's going to be one of many courses that you do with LinkedIn. What's it like to work with the LinkedIn Learning team? That was a new experience for you.
Yeah, it was excellent. So with LinkedIn Learning, you've got a team of curriculum designers and producers who really take adult learning very seriously. And what's really different as well is nowadays we don't lecture for hours. So with each of the videos and learning blocks that are being designed, you're really thinking about how to chunk information and provide practical examples as well to engage your learners. And certainly, LinkedIn is bringing great expertise to adult learning. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, LinkedIn Learning does not all, but a lot of its production out near Santa Barbara, California, here in the U.S. And it's a great group of people, very dedicated to adult learning, and absolutely the best video training library in the world. So be sure to check it out, LinkedIn Learning, and look up the new course, Marketing Foundations. And it's an updated course, re-released from my former
Yeah.
version of the course, and so it's you've taken it to new levels, and I'm really excited to see how people react to it. So post your questions if you have questions for Marta or me. Go ahead and post those in the comment section. We'll bring those up on the screen if we can. And Marta, I notice in particular the very last chapter of the course, last video, you use this phrase that you and I love to talk about. How does one really think like a marketer? We get that question right from people. They'll say, Drew, how do you really think like a marketer? And your final video is think like a marketer. I love that. That's such great advice. What does that mean to you?
Right. It's to develop curiosity about the world around you. So if you're just existing in the world today, you're likely being exposed to between 5 and 10,000 marketing messages. So marketing is everywhere around you. Turn on your computer, there are banner ads. You watch a show on television, and there are certainly going to be a lot of product placements. You open up the newspaper, et cetera, et cetera. So um, these can be annoyances to you, but if you're a marketer and hopefully after you've gone through this course you're starting to think like a marketer, you go from being annoyed to being curious. And the idea of this course is to give you a really structured way of thinking about all of those marketing messages. So ask yourself, okay, who is this? What's the brand? What are they trying to achieve in terms of the customer objective? What business context are they referring to? Because everything in the world is relative. So, what is their relative context? What is their value proposition? And what are they really then ultimately after? And so the idea is use those marketing messages to re engineer the marketing strategy, develop a group of analogs that are going to be helpful to you in your work every day. Think like a marketer.
Think
Absolutely.
like a marketer.
Yes.
Marta, we have a question from Patty Raggio. Patty asked the question, does your course address marketing professional services? Answer that though.
Yes. So when you're talking about marketing professional services, uh, yes, I mean, certainly as you're getting into execution, we talk about the design of a customer experience. And a big part of that would be whether you're in communications or on the agency side, the development of campaigns that need to articulate the marketing strategy and in particular the value proposition with customers. So I would say at a high level, yes.
Okay, and uh, you and I have talked about this in the past. We do a lot of training for B2B marketers.
Yes.
So does this span the continuum of B2C, traditional business to consumer, people selling toothbrushes and whatnot, versus people selling computers or hard equipment, B2B?
Yes, absolutely. The idea of this course is that there is a marketing philosophy and a certain number of paradigms that fit both business to business and business to consumer contexts. The complexity that is introduced with business to business is different, but in no way harder or easier than than consumer marketers are facing. So we do talk a bit about business to business marketing, particularly around the definition of who is the customer. Because, as you well know, Drew, business marketers have a variety of customers, and we need to resource according to the power that each of those customer stakeholders have in making purchase decisions, but also the relationships amongst them. So, our ability to influence them, and how do we then empower some of them to get and create advocates for the brand. But the idea of the workshop or the course is to really span both business to business and business to consumer environments.
Question from Nishant. How can sales professionals make the most use of marketing teams in any organization for the benefit of the end customer? Great question.
Great question. And what I would say here is you really want to be thinking win win. When we think win win, we then change, I think, our mindset a bit from marketing and sales at times having an adversarial relationship to marketing and sales having some common goals. And so this course makes it, I think, really apparent that in order to win in a market, you need to create a differentiated brand, one that has clear meaning to anyone that encounters it. And you need to then have a really good idea of who your customers are and what that brand's goal is with those customers. So those ideas around the brand and the customer, they really transpire both the sales and the marketing team. And the other thing that this course does is it's really trying to develop a language that is of the commercial team as opposed to of the marketing team. I mean, think about it. Marketing isn't what the marketing team does. Marketing is the discipline and process that an entire organization uses to win in a marketplace. And that, of course, concerns everyone in the organization, whether you're a nonprofit, for profit, business to consumer, and obviously whether you're sitting in the sales or the marketing function for right now.
Great. So, great question here from Dia, and
Yes.
we probably knew this was going to come up, right? Can you please tell me the difference between the course I took with you, Mr. Drew, about foundations of marketing, and Mrs. Marta? And should I study hers as well? Well, I will tell you, yes, you should absolutely study hers as well. Uh, Marta, let me
Yeah.
take a stab at that because
Yes.
that's a great question. My original course was what I'll call a more traditional marketing from the standpoint of a the what we would call the old the Kellogg model. To put it bluntly, it's just what for many years was the model that emanated out of Kellogg School of Business in Chicago, and that was, sort of block and tackle marketing, as we would say, to use that phrase, that cliche. Block and tackle, I mean the fundamental parts. Now, I think Marta, if I could take a stab at it, I think what's great about your course is the integration. You talk about that so much about, especially at the end, the integrated parts of it and how they link together. So I think you're going to get a different take. You're going to get a lot of the same things, the fundamentals of segmentation, targeting, and positioning, the customer insights, those key ideas about category definition. But you're also going to get a nice look at two things. I think integration and benchmarks. You are
Mm-hmm.
such a professional when it comes to learn from what you do. That's my take. What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think your course did a great job of explaining the traditional way that people learn marketing. I think this is trying to then connect the elements, as you said. So the idea of integration. Um, there is a philosophy underpinning this whole thing around systems thinking. So think of the world as a system. You're part of a system. Your organization is a system, and obviously the market itself is a system. So there is that sort of problem solving structured approach to this course. And for example, one of the things that we talk about is the business category, right? So you're developing a product, or you're maybe in a sales role and you're selling a product. Are you in the market that is delineated by the product itself? So if you're selling, the old marketing joke, which of course is not funny because it's a marketing joke, if you're selling a drill, are you really in the drill market, or are you maybe in the homemaking market, or are you in the kind of memory keepsake market? So how do you think of the business that you're in? Because that thinking is the dominant logic that everyone uses when they come to work every day. So it's this idea to just kind of go beyond the basic concepts, to put in these concepts in a dynamic way into use by connecting them together.
Marta, I'm sorry, I don't have one available right. Am I ready? But do you have your book handy? Is your book on your desk somewhere you can show the audience?
Yes, I
You
think
got
so. Yes,
get a
we do
book.
have it.
Okay, this is it. Take a look at the course, obviously, but then if you really want to go deep into it, big picture
Yeah.
strategy, you can get this on Amazon, and it's a fantastic book. I use it as a textbook in my training. I love this book. Marta, before we sign off, a couple questions. Could you just briefly tell everybody about Big Picture Partners and what we do there?
Sure, absolutely. So, Big Picture Partners is a professional services organization. We work with some really large clients in helping them develop a common go to market approach by lifting the marketing skill sets of the commercial organization. So, we do tend to work a lot with marketing teams, upskilling them. And then the idea is that everybody in a global company then starts using a common language, a common, let's say, product launch excellence process, as an example, metrics that are different depending on the type of strategy they deploy for their products and services. So we work on training marketing teams. So we do a lot of training. We have online courses, of course, and some of our clients now are using LinkedIn. So it's really important for us to start connecting uh, LinkedIn learning in that environment to the work that we're doing. We do some consulting, but a lot of our work is really training and coaching.
Marta, do you have any big goals for 2023? Any big projects? Uh,
Yes, absolutely. So,
with
of course, continuing to work with our clients and helping them upskill their marketers. It's such an incredibly dynamic environment today with digital and social. But also then relative to LinkedIn Learning, working on a course on customer loyalty. So the idea of customer loyalty, of course, everybody talks about it. It gets millions of hits if you actually do a search on Google. But how do you really operationalize it
mhm.
so that you create the type of customer loyalty that fits with your organizational capabilities? So that's what this course is going to be dealing with.
Fantastic. Marta Dapena, Barón, president of Big Picture Partners and the author of a new course here on LinkedIn Learning called Marketing Foundations. Thanks so much for being with us today. Hope to see you back.
Thank you,
And
Drew.
yeah, great. Take
Always,
care.
always great to be with you. Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Okay, thanks so much for joining us today. Just a quick note, next week we will have another LinkedIn learning instructor, Brian Honigman, and I are going to talk about marketing must wins in 2023. You don't want to miss that. If you get a chance, go ahead and hit the follow button on my LinkedIn profile, and I'm more than happy to connect with you here on LinkedIn as well. And if you have questions in the meantime about other things, feel free to reach out at drew@drewboyd.com. Have a great rest of your week. Bye bye.